is your chance to experience a remarkable array of works from Tate's collection. Connected by the theme of light and spanning over 200 years, see incredible works from Turner, Kusama, Monet, Turrell, and many more. From one of the UK's most adored cultural institutions, see art in a new light. Light, works from Tate's collection. Now open.
No, it's just you. Why are we here, friends? Why are all of us here? Fundamentally, we are here because this world is not okay. She is a precious world, she is a beautiful world, but there are many ills within it. The question is not knowing, the question is responding. What do we do? And how do we do it? For you, for me, as we stand at Games for Change, our heart is to see fundamentally change occur. What is behind you is part of an unusual game for change. I work with Crossroads, a humanitarian agency based out of Hong Kong. Our job is to serve needs here and in 100 countries around the world. But we began to realize that we needed more people engaged in serving. But how do you do that? How do you reach into someone's heart to stir them to bring change? We realized that words were not enough. And it was into that space, that context, that we began to run experiential programs, immersive experiential programs. We ran one once for a 10th anniversary. Some CEOs came and they were so impacted, they said, could we bring our office? Then principals brought teachers and teachers brought students. And then the programs exploded all around us. And then people said to us, we need more. What about issues regarding refugees or poverty or the environment or natural disasters? And as these programs grew, it was then that others then called us. We had the United Nations and others inviting us to run these programs alongside them at the World Economic Forum. And for over a decade there we ran these programs. Kings and queens and billionaires and others went through. In fact, 200,000 people have gone through these programs. But the thing that I love is what has brought you here. It's change. I am not enamored by the faces that have gone through, nor the numbers that have gone through, but I have watched this world change. Schools built for refugees, charities formed, companies realigning who they are to impact issues and this world in need. I've watched people quit their jobs and move into other sectors. And ladies and gentlemen, why has this conference come today? Because this matters. And so from Hong Kong, may it be that this conference is a success, not for the sake of a conference, but for the sake of those lives and those issues that matter to us and that must be changed around this world. Games are good, but change is needed. And that's why we're all here. So may this be powerful, because our world needs it to be so.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Nancy Ann. I'm a PhD researcher in RMIT University, also researching on games. First, I'd like to acknowledge the country. Acme and Games for Change Asia Pacific acknowledge the traditional owners, the Wurundjeri and Boundary people of the Kulin Nation, on whose land we meet, share, and work. We pay our respect to the elders past and present, and extend our respect to the Aboriginal and the Torres Strait Islander people from all nations of this land. To open this session, I'd first like to welcome Seb Chen, Director and CEO at Acme, to welcome you to Acme. Welcome.
Thanks, everybody. My name's Seb Chan. I'm the recently appointed Director and CEO of this great institution, your National Museum of Street Culture. And we're so happy and honoured to be able to host Games for Change. I've been playing games for the last 4 decades, so I'm actually quite old. I am old, I should say. And I kind of grew up on shoot 'em up construction kit, on the Commodore 64, SimCity, Doom, and modding Quake, and building my own text adventures. When I grew up, I learned about world building, storytelling through choose kind of your own adventure books when I was a little kid, and they gave me a space to imagine different possibilities and roll out different scenarios of future choices I might make. And I saw games as a playground, and I think it's really important that we think about games, and I'm really proud that this institution takes games as seriously as the cinema of Europe, the cinema of Asia, the cinema of North America, and also our own cinema here. One of kind of my now teenage kids has been learning to design bridges through a game they discovered on Steam, and they've also become a communist by resisting their colonial narratives of Factorio and those factory colonisation games that they also love kind of playing. And this critical literacy around the politics that are built into all of our media are really exciting. For them too, and my older child, games have become a way that they've learned how to collaborate within a diverse and networked society, how to explore their own choices, and to use the shared culture of YouTube gameplay videos and cheat modes, the cheat modes that I also grew up on, as a way of deconstructing the way games and narratives are made, and that sense of games as a malleable space. And I think it's really important that museums like ours and conferences like this teach our younger people that what technology is doing is making a malleable world. They're also learning to collaborate as squads and learning how to swarm and how to exist in an increasingly decentralizing world. I think that's also very exciting, but of course decentralization comes kind of with its challenges, and is very easily captured by the far right, where they see the burning down of institutions like ours and others, and a miss kind of trust in politics as advancing their own narrow ends. So games need to be about change, and they need to allow us to play out different scenarios for our shared future. Game making, of course, has become radically democratised since I was a kid, with Game Maker, Twine, and of course now Unity, that is used to build many of the experiences and games that we now play, and many of the games that are also built in our co-working space, as well as the visual effects for many of the films we see too. And I love kind of this. More people can also now use games as a medium, not just for storytelling, which I still feel storytelling, and this is a whole other thing, feels like a legacy of the 20th century, and I'm more excited now by the notions of world building and these worlds in which different kind of stories can now take place. Where else would you have a National Museum of Games but in Melbourne? Please tell everybody to come to Melbourne. We love people coming here. This place is also, and I just need to mention this, doing exciting work in video game preservation, and we are preserving games to allow people not only to play them in the future, but to deconstruct them and to think about the tools that they were made with and the politics of those tools. Please, while you're here, also go look at our free permanent exhibition. We have some new Melbourne-made games in there too. Plus, it's just kind of cool too. And please give us and our staff any feedback on what you see. We are trying it to also be a museum of change and a museum of imagination and a museum where people can imagine alternative futures. That's probably enough from me, and I'd like now to throw to Susanna. Thank you.
exciting to be here. It is the first time that I am in Melbourne, and I am so appreciative of the welcome that I've had, my colleagues and I have had in this just absolutely beautiful city. And it is my deep honor to be here at the very first in-person Games for Change Asia Pacific Festival, and thank you all for joining us. Dale, Vincent, Christine, Daniel, you have all done a remarkable job in bringing together this event, and I want to thank you for all your efforts, and more importantly than just the event, but growing this community of Games for Change across the Asia Pacific region. And thank you to Creative Victoria, Vic Screen, and Acme for giving us a home, and Seth, thank you for your warm welcome as well. I couldn't imagine a better place to have roots and grow this community. For those of you who are new to Games for Change, I thought I'd say a few words about our history, where we are, and where we're going. So Games for Change was founded in 2004 with a small gathering of game designers, researchers, and academics in the basement of the Academy of Sciences in New York City. Our vision today is the same as it was back then. We want to see a world where games are widely understood and to have a purpose beyond entertainment, and are used to power new approaches to social impact and to drive real-world change. So for 20 years, Games for Change has supported a global community of creators, innovators, who are using games and now immersive media to help people learn, improve their communities, and to make the world a better place. While the Games for Change community originated in New York City, we have seen a rapid growth around the world. Over the last few years, we've seen participation from over 120 countries at different Games for Change events, and are so very excited about the potential of the growth of the Games for Change Asia Pacific community. We also have chapters in Latin America, Europe, Africa, and I'm going to be heading over to Abu Dhabi to launch our Games for Change presence in the Middle East. So you're part of a very, very important movement and will play a crucial role in spreading the word, in creating great experiences, and using these experiences and games in your work. So as the community grows, we're seeing more opportunities for collaboration between the game industry and other sectors, and more innovative projects that are expanding our understanding of what's possible for people who use games and immersive media for real-world impact. And now more than ever, as you've heard at the start, we're seeing the urgency of global collaboration. As the challenges we face, from the pandemic to climate change to nuclear threat, these are increasingly too big, complex, and interconnected for any one group to solve alone. But we've also seen the power of community to come together across lines of identity, sector, and geography, and drive meaningful change. We've seen that power firsthand through the growth of this community, and with more chapters around the globe, with more groundbreaking projects and initiatives to celebrate, and more ways to get involved. So in addition to the Games for Change Festival in New York, we run year-round programs that strive to elevate and grow this community. And I encourage you to think about these and how you might be able to integrate it into your regions, whether it's running social impact game jams for international developers, or inspiring the next generation of game designers through youth programs like our Games for Change Student Challenge, or facilitating workshops for educators on games and learning. We are always looking to expand games for impact. We were thrilled to have participated in the Teacher Summit yesterday, and were inspired by the creativity and commitment to bring game-based learning to students in Australia. We've also seen the power of games, interactive media, and immersive storytelling to spread ideas and drive impact across borders and boundaries, and are excited to expand our work producing these global impact campaigns and media projects. So we're excited to and proud to be an executive producer of an award-winning VR documentary about nuclear threat called On the Morning You Wake to the End of the World. This VR experience exemplifies a new approach to creative storytelling for real-world impact, and has the power to make complex issues like nuclear disarmament more accessible to the global public and to people to take action. So we've been taking this project on the road for the last few months, leading a global impact campaign around the documentary that kicked off with an exhibition at the Nobel Peace Center in Oslo, where we hosted field trips for 42 high school classes and participated in an international summit on the modern day threat of nuclear weapons. The campaign work also took us to Vienna for the first meeting of state parties to the landmark nuclear ban treaty, and all across the world, in Times Square to Hawaii to New Zealand, for an ongoing series of exhibitions to driving change. And we are so excited to have the piece here in Melbourne at Acme, and it's available for you to screen over the next 2 days, or if you have a Quest 2 at home, it's available for free in the Quest store. So I welcome you to experience that, and I also I welcome you to take time to meet each other, to have conversations. You're gonna have so many inspiring sessions in front of you, but also have time within the next 2 days to network, to foster new partnerships, to find new ways to collaborate. And I know Dale and the community, the organizers here have organized sessions, networking opportunities for you at the end of the day. And I can tell you, for many reasons, those sessions are the most important, right? We need to share ideas, and we need to be talking to each other and see what's possible. So again, thank you for being here, and I'm excited to share the next 2 days with you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Susanna. Now I'd like to introduce Vida Sagram. He's the Director of Strategic Project Global Victorian Government Trade and Investment. He will highlight the importance of this wonderful industry we're all in.
Thank you, Nancy. Apologies about my throat. Too much of networking during the games week in the last few days. This is what happens. Too much partying, too much networking. So thank you, Dale, for this opportunity. Couldn't have asked for more. And good morning, namaste, and salam. My name is Vidya Sagram. As Nancy mentioned, I'm Director of Strategic Projects at the Victorian Government Trade and Investment Office, South Asia, based in Bangalore. I've had this pleasure of leading a group of publishers, developers, and studios from India for the first time for the Melbourne International Games Week. I and my team have been working on this project to build a Victoria-India gaming corridor for the last few years, just so that we can embark on a mission to build a very robust and a very structured way to facilitate a cohesive engagement between the gaming ecosystems between the regions in South Asia and in Victoria. So one of the key pillars that we've always spoken to about when we were doing this entire corridor was Games for Change. And I think Dale and I have spoken at length about this as to why it's so important, because the opportunities speak for itself. Why India? That's the first question people ask me, and why the South Asian region? So rattle off a few numbers. We have over 220 million gamers spending an average 42 minutes a day on mobile gaming. It is the fastest growing sunrise industries, clocking over 30% growth year on year. And this is in spite of the pandemic. Ranks 5th among the world's top mobile gaming markets. The highest number of games downloaded per month in the world. Industry is valued at US 1.3 billion and is expected to triple by 2025. So with these numbers, there is a huge opportunity that we see, that we can, it's a burgeoning opportunity that we see, and we anticipate that's going to grow further for game developers across the world to look at the South Asian region. So one of the key things that we spoke and we draw your attention was Games for Change during the pandemic. And I think Seth just mentioned about how children, are also involved in the entire gaming ecosystem. I remember during the pandemic what India went through, and I remember we had one of the longest homeschooling. My kids were at homeschooling for more than 2.5 years. And I remember during the entire vaccination process, my 7-year-old daughter, who came up to me and she showed me pictures of a game that she was drawing or trying to draw, where she had drones dropping off vaccinations at remote parts of India where vaccination was not accessible. So a 7-year-old was sensitized, was aware of the challenges. So today, with the lack of resources and with the rapid technology advancement in India, the use of digital health is very, very important for a market like ours. And as a community, and Games for Change bringing across, as Susanna mentioned, different parts of the world, different chapters, we think it is our important message to the community to develop games and to create awareness. And the use of games is not just restricted to, as I mentioned, to kids or anything. We have seen dementia for old age, which we've spoken about at length, awareness on ADHD for teenagers, or as simple as phobias for kids. So it touches upon diverse sectors, it touches upon diverse communities, and it is across age barriers across. So with that, I would just like to take this opportunity to thank Games for Change for providing me this platform and this opportunity so that we as a community, we as a government, we as the industry are able to make a difference in the market that has been having a smartphone usage in India and the South Asian regions, provides a fertile ground for growing for mental health as a delivery tool. So I'd like to allude you all to a wonderful opportunity that we are taking as a Victorian government. We are leading a delegation for the India Game Developer Conference in November with studios, publishers, companies, and everybody who are a part of this entire journey. And we'd like to welcome you all to be a part of that journey because Games for Change is going to have an exclusive session for the first time at India Game Developer Conference in November. So with that, I'm just going to stop before I just completely lose my voice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vijay. Now, we will commence our panel discussion session. I'd like to introduce the chair of our first panel session, Hong Ting Yang, the lead GP